So let's begin with our class without wasting much time. Just for a clarity sake, before we start our class, is my slide visible or not, and am I audible or not? Can anyone just let me know whether this slide is visible or not completely, and my voice is reaching to you or not? Is this slide visible? Shall we start with our class?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So we are going to start with our second unit, and in this unit, we are basically concentrating on what are the constants, what are the variables, data types of language, what are the various operators and expressions by using those operators, and what are the input-output functions in the C. So coming on with our contents that we have to discuss in this particular unit, I will try to make this unit a little longer because this is the core of your entire C language. If you understand the unit perfectly, you can understand the C language easily. So the first topic that we are going to learn in this particular chapter is going to be description about what is a character, what is C tokens, what are the keywords, what are variables, what are identifiers, what are constants, and what are constant variables. So these are little technical terms and terminologies which we will discuss in this particular session somewhat. And the next point we are going to discuss about the data types that are required to create a variable as well as functions. So what are the data types that are available in C language? How many different categories of data types are there? We'll see in detail with each example. Then we'll come across how do we create a name to a memory called as variable. And when we are creating a variable, we are naming the memory, we want to name it because we want to store some value inside that memory and we want to use it. So that variable creation, declaration and initialization will be learning in this particular point, third point. Then in the fourth point, we will try to see what type of logical operations can we perform in our programming language, C language. How many different types of operators are available and what are the different categories of operators that are available which we can use. We'll see in detail for each one of the operators what are their corresponding example programs. Okay, let me just give a hint of what type of operators can be there. For example, in case of addition, plus sign is an operator. In case of multiplication, into sign is the multiplication operator. Simply, if I want to see whether two values are same or not, if I want to compare them, if one is lesser or greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to, that symbol is a operator. So there are various categories of operators. We will see in detail what are those categories. And as I said, there are lots of operators available in C language. When a combination of different operators are applied, in which order will that operators be applied? Which one will be applied first? Which one will be applied next? So we'll see what are their precedents and what are their associativities. When we talk about this unit, you will come across what I'm speaking about, the precedents and associativity in detail. Then by using the operators along with the identifiers, variables, and keywords, we'll try to generate certain expressions. So what is exactly an expression and what will we achieve by writing that expression? We'll try to learn about that. Then we'll try to evaluate the different types of operators which we have discussed here called semantic, relational, and logical operators with regard to expressions. That means we are trying to combine them to form one single executable statement. Then in the next topic, we will try to see how do we convert one type of value to another type of value. So when we discuss about data types, when we have one type of value, defined with one data type, how can we convert it into another data type? We will try to see that particular topic. In the 10th topic, we are going to talk about what are the preprocessor directives available in our C language. And we'll try to list some of those preprocessor directives, which we try to make use of in our program by using the keywords include and define. So how many different types of preprocessor directives are there? Like, for example, stdio.h, conio.h, max.h, string.h. What are these actually header files? We will try to get to know about them. And whatever these preprocessor directives are there, we know that we are trying to use certain inbuilt functionality which was defined in them. We are including them in our program because we want to use the inbuilt functionality which has been defined in the preprocessor directives. So what are the few of the inbuilt functions which are available in those type of header files? For example, get character is one function, put character is another function, scanf is one function, printf another function. We'll try to make use of these inbuilt functions and try to develop certain programs. So those are the 13 topics that we are going to cover in this second unit. I'm sorry, here I had to keep a second unit by mistakenly due to copy paste, it became first unit. Please excuse me about that. So let's begin with our very first topic, which is describing character set, C tokens, and keywords. So let's quickly move ahead. Let me check, is there anyone waiting? All are available. So if you recap back, C is a high-level language. And this high-level language is called as high-level because it is similar to or closer to human understandable language. Nowadays, if you go into international scenario, you have got a language which has got domination, which is English language. So if you take any language, that language will be built up of certain characters. For example, in English, we have got alphabets, A, B, C, D, so on. And those alphabets will be combined together. Certain alphabets will be grouped together to form words. And certain words will be grouped together to form sentences. And certain sentences will be grouped together to form paragraphs, which will give a complete picture of what you want to speak about, communicate about. So what is the smallest thing that is available in C language? What is its character set? When we talk about, as we know that C is a structured programming language, the character sets that we are going to learn here are also structured. That means you have to follow only those characters only which are available. You cannot adopt any other character. But whatever characters are there in C language, they are almost all sufficient enough for you to write an entire program. You need not even come across another new character to be developed. So C language, let us quickly recap with its introduction. It's a structured programming language, and it is also known as function-oriented programming language because if we take a bigger problem, complex program, we will try to break that problem into multiple parts. Each part will be easy to compute. And at the end, we'll combine all those parts and we will form one particular program. The same way over here, if we come across a bigger problem and we want to develop a program about it, we'll split that program into multiple functions. And each function will perform its own task. And at the end, we'll combine all these functions one after the other and we'll get the end problem solution. Okay, that's why it is called as function-oriented programming language. C language is called as function-oriented programming language. And as you know that C language was developed by Dennis Ritchie in 1972. It was being developed to create a system software like that of Unix operating system. And that research was going on at Bell Laboratories, at AT&T Bell Laboratories, which is one of the finest institutes that exist. If you are interested, just go through about what is AT&T Bell Laboratories. you will find that it is one of the best institute which has developed a lot of resources for programming. So C is structured programming language. Every C program and its statement must be in a particular structure. What do we mean by structured programming language? Every statement that we are going to create in C language should be in a particular structure format only. Then only it gets executed. Otherwise, it is not going to get executed. Just to give a glimpse of the first unit and kept the program's general structure. As you know that the program will start with a comment which describes about what is the program meant for, who developed that program and so forth. And this is optional. Wish you can write it, otherwise you can ignore it. But if you write it, it will give more information regarding your program. Next is pre-processing commands. These commands are going to tell about the inbuilt functions, where they are stored, and if we wish, we can include them also. Okay. Then the global declaration, if a variable is going to be used in the main function as well as our own defined function, then you can declare that variable as a global declaration. If you are making any local declarations, suppose here I am declaring one variable x, that x will be valid only to be used within the main function. Outside of the main, if I want to use it here, it will become invalid. Okay, but if we declare the variable x as global declaration, it can be used within the main as well as within the other functions. So moving ahead with that particular knowledge, let's talk about character set. Now, a general rule for any C program: every executable statement must end with a semicolon. Do remember this. Every statement in your C language should end with a semicolon. Semicolon will tell the compiler that the expression that you want to compute is going to be terminated here. So we call the semicolon as a terminating statement, as a terminator for the statement. Okay. Then every C program must contain exactly one main method. Do remember, main method is the starting point of your execution of program, and it is going to control the list of functions which we are going to develop to solve our problem. So it's the controller. So there should be only one controller main function, and there cannot be any other main function available in C program. So all these system defined keywords, those words which are uh, already defined in the system in our compiler, whose meaning is well known to our compiler, those words are called as keywords. Those keywords should be mentioned in lowercase letters only. They cannot be mentioned other than that. Then keywords cannot be used as user-defined words. Do remember, if I want to create my own word, can I use the keyword as my own word? No, because it's already defined in the compiler. Its meaning is already known to the compiler. It cannot be reused. Okay. And if I want to define any word for my own self, then that word will become identifier. That word will be called as identifier. So basically, there are two types of words in C language. One is keyword, whose meaning is already known to the compiler. Second is our own user-defined word called as identifier. Its meaning is not known to compiler. We need to define it. We need to define it. And now, when it comes for keywords, they should be always mentioned in lowercase. But when it comes for identifier, we can adopt our own strategy. We can write our own as per our wish, but there are certain rules and regulations. When we talk about identifiers, I will talk about what are the rules that you have to follow. Okay, but it's not as strict as that of your keywords. It need not be always in lowercase. You can just go with some relaxations. And do remember, for every opening brace, you should have a corresponding closing brace in your program. Then only your program will work, otherwise it will not work. Okay. Now, whenever you are trying to use any variable, which is a identifier, type of identifier, you have to declare it before using it, because this variable name is not a keyword. It's not known to the compiler. So when it is a type of identifier, we have to first define it before we are going to use it. So for this opening brace, there should be a corresponding closing brace. For this opening brace, there should be a corresponding closing brace. Otherwise, the program will not work. And for every statement in C language, semicolon should be mentioned. That shows that this is going to end over here. Now one key point. Where is the semicolon for this line? I have not mentioned it. Is there any reason? Can anyone let me know? Any guess? Okay, let me tell you. Here, this statement is not at all closing, actually. It's not ending. Actually, this statement is starting with the curly brace, opening curly brace, and it is ending with closing curly brace. Since these two are separately used for mentioning that this particular part is the body of your main, it's ending over here, we are going to omit or exclude semicolon at the end. Okay? But all other lines will come semicolon. Do remember this thing? All lines in your C language should have a semicolon, except wherever you are going to start your definition of a statement. Here I am going to start the definition of my statement function. So the definition is starting with the opening curly brace. So whichever line is having its next line, opening curly brace, that line will not have a semicolon. Do remember this thing. This is a shortcut trick. Remember. Okay. Now, moving ahead, let's talk about character set. With that perspective in our mind, let's talk about character set. This character set uh, is used to construct words, as we just before talked about, right? And this character set in English language is usually the alphabets which we talk about. I hope there are 26 alphabets in English. If I am not wrong, there are 26 alphabets. But in C language, the character set is not just going to contain the alphabets. It's also going to contain the digits. It's also going to contain some special symbols called as special characters. So alphabets along with digits along with special symbols becomes our character set. These three will form the entire character set. So definitely it is not going to contain only 26 characters. It is going to contain more than that, because digits are 10 digits, 0 to 9, and there are lots of special symbols, plus, minus, into, divided by. All those symbols, notations are considered as special symbols. Okay, so moving ahead, there are about 256 characters in C language. Any are there? 256 characters are there in C language. Whereas in English language, there are only 26 alphabets, right? So every C program should contain statements. And do remember, statement should end with a semicolon. These statements are constructed using words, and these words are constructed using character sets. Okay, simple. Now, C language character set contains the following set of characters. What are they? Alphabets, digits, special symbols, and all these character sets are well defined internally as ASCII code. What is that one? ASCII code, American Standard Code for Information Interchange. Now, one small question. Why are we representing the 20 to 56 characters in terms of ASCII codes? Do recollect, our main purpose of writing a program is to make our computer to work for us. So when we are making the computer to work for us, computer understands only zeros and ones. right? Or in the lowest terminology, only plus 5 volts, minus 5 volts, or so forth power symbols. So each character is internally converted into ones and zeros with the help of ASCII code. For example, capital letter A is an alphabet. This capital letter A is written as ASCII code 65. What is the ASCII code given for capital letter A? 65. If we convert 65 into zeros and ones, it will get converted easily. So each and every character is internally coded in terms of ASCII characters. How do we spell it out? ASCII, American Standard Code for Information Interchange. This value will help us to convert our alphabets or symbols into its corresponding ones and zeros. This is very important to be understood. Okay. Now, moving ahead, what are the alphabets? Same like English language alphabets, we have got here in C language not just 26 alphabets. In English, we say 26 alphabets are there, right? A to Z. But in C language, capital letter and lowercase, small letters are different. Means small a to small z is 26 plus capital A to capital Z is again 26. Combined together, how much it becomes? 52 alphabets. So alphabet set is 52 alphabets. So as I have said, small a to small z and capital A to capital Z. 26 plus 26, it becomes 50. Now when it comes for digits, digits are from 0 to 9. So if we include 0 to 9, it becomes 10 digits, right? And when it comes for special symbols, you know that whatever special symbols that you come across, for example, hash symbol, I've got full stop, you have got comma, you have got semicolon, you have got exclamation mark. All those symbolic notations are called as special symbols. And these special symbols are usually used for calculation of certain operations like mathematical operations, for checking a value is greater than or equal to or not, for using special spaces. You know the tab will include 4 spaces, but it is one character only. Okay, so we will click on enter button and our text will get typed down to next line. So that enter button is also a particular character. So all those are called as special symbols. Anything apart from the alphabets and digits is called as special symbols. So there are lots of special symbols, lots of further. Few of the examples I kept over here. A minus sign, tilde, how we spell this character as tilde, tilde, rate symbol, hash symbol, dollar symbol, percentile symbol, caret symbol, ampersand, asterisk, opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis, underscore, minus, plus, equal to, opening brace, closing brace, square bracket, opening square bracket, closing square bracket, semicolon, colon, quotation, double quotation, forward slash, question mark, full stop, greater than symbol, comma, less than symbol, backward slash, type symbol. All these tab, new line space, null character, bell sign, all these are different symbols for special symbols. There are many. Few of the characters that, or let me say, all of the characters that are there, I have kept over here. This is just for your additional reading, not for your examination sake. These are the special symbols that you need to know what are their corresponding ASCII code values. For example, I said capital A is 65, right? And to get small a, just add 32 to it. 32 will become 65 plus 32, 97, right? 97 where it is small a. So like that, by using each of the character along with its ASCII value, will convert the character into its corresponding ASCII and then from ASCII to its corresponding ones and zeros. Okay. Now, just for some additional reading, kept here all the character sets along with the ASCII values, right? If I want to print all the ASCII values that are available by using a C program, now we can print it. Here I have a sample C program, which we'll discuss in detail later on. We'll come across it. Okay. This is again for your internal reading, additional reading purpose. Now, we know that character set is going to contain three types of characters: alphabets, digits, and special symbols. Now coming on for combination of these characters to form certain words. Now words are called as tokens. Words in C language are called as tokens. So there can be different types of words. There can be reserved words whose meaning is well known to the computer. There can be some words which is used as a name to a memory location where we can store some value. There can be a general purpose word which we want to create called as identifier. There can be some memory location variable which should not change its value. Once the value is assigned, its value should not change. For example, let's say in mathematics you have got pi, right? And its value is 3.14, if I am not wrong. Can we change that 3.14 to any other value? No, it's always a constant throughout the universe, right? So, like that, there are certain type of values or variables whose value should never change. So those are called as constants. Like that, we have various other constants. We will see in detail what are those constants. And we have got variables again. This is just a printing mistake, which we just excuse me about this part. Okay. So what is a C token? It's nothing but a word form out of the character set, right? C program is a collection of instructions, and every instruction is a collection of individual units. We will not call it as word, we will call it as unit. And the smallest individual unit of a C program is called as a token. Smallest individual unit of a C program is called as a token. So, C program is a collection of tokens, as we have seen, and by using these as the building blocks, we'll create our entire C program. Now there are different types of tokens. One is keywords, identifiers, operators, special symbols, constants, strings, data values, and all these combined together we'll use to form one particular program. That's all. This is the blue color line that you are able to see here is the actual definition of your token. Please do remember this thing. In a C program, a collection of all the keywords, identifiers, operators, special symbols, constants, strings, and data values are called as. So I kept a small example program back again, which we have seen as additional reading. Just to bring in forth in front of you, how many different tokens are being used over here? To remember, tokens are anything from here in this list. It may be a keyword, it may be an identifier, it may be operator, it can be special symbol, it can be constant, it can be string, it can be data value. So whatever is listed here, let's try to get to know how many are listed here. This particular task I have kept for you as a homework. You have to go through. I've written here 22 tokens are there, definitely. But you should go through and try to identify why it is 22. Okay. And how are we claiming that there are only 22 here? Just kindly go through it. This is again for your additional task, but just to bring it in front of you, I kept this slide. Just to recap, how many things will be coming as a token? Keywords will be coming as token. Identifiers will come as token. Operators will come as tokens. Special symbols will come as tokens. Constants will come as tokens, and strings will also be considered as tokens along with data values. Now, one after the other, we'll try to discuss about them. Keywords, as every language has words to construct statements, C language also has words with specific meaning. If this meaning is already known to the compiler, then it is called as a keyword. That means keywords are special words with predefined meaning. Where will this meaning be defined? In the C language compiler. To remember, compiler is the one which will convert our source code, C language code, into assembly level language and then so on to binary code. Okay. So keywords are also known as reserved words in C language. There are how many keywords? 32 keywords in C language. You should memorize them. This is compulsory for you. You should be able to memorize all the 32 keywords, and now it becomes a little frightening to you that how can we remember 32 keywords? It's easy. It's not difficult. Let me just remind you. Is it difficult for you to remember your friends' names? Like that, you'll just while using these keywords continuously, you'll get to habituated to remember them easily. Okay, so all these 32 keywords are known to the compiler. Do remember this thing. That's why it is always called as reserved words. So I kept here all the 32 different keywords which are there in our C language. Let us try to spell out one after the other. First one is auto. Second is break. What are their meanings? We will talk about later. Okay. When we are practically using them, we will try to discuss about their meanings. But most of them are self-explanatory meanings. For example, break. Break means to cut off from the normal flow. Okay. Case. If in some cases these things happens, so that's a case keyword. Don't spell it as char. It's character. Okay. Most of the students, due to the wrong teachings of the lecturers, they will spell it as char. It's absolutely wrong. It's character. Okay. Const, continue, default, do, double, else, enum, extern, float, for, go to, if, int, long, register, return, short, signed, size of. This is one single word, size of, static, struct, switch, type, def, union, unsigned, void, volatile, while. These are the different 32 keywords that exist in our C program. Just to your kind notice, I have kept this entire chart in front of you. You should memorize them. Do remember that part. Okay. Keywords must be in lowercase. Look at any of the keyword. It's all starting with lowercase letters. A, B, C, so on. All are starting with small letters, lowercase letters. Can we use them to define our own meaning? No, we cannot use them or we cannot change their meaning. This is key thing that you should memorize. Suppose I want to create a name for something, and can I create that name as char? No, it's already used in C language as a reserved word, so I cannot use it. So moving ahead, identifiers now. Keywords are over. Identifiers. Uh, Identifiers are a collection of characters which acts like a name of a variable or a function or a array or a pointer or structure. Means if I want to create my own word, then I will call that word as an identifier. Okay. So in simple terms, identifier is nothing but the user defined name to identify an entity uniquely in the C programming language. Okay. And that name may be of anything like a variable name, function name, array name, pointer name, structure name, or a label. In a few of the examples, like for example, I want to create a variable which can store marks. So here marks is the identifier for me. To define that it is an identifier, I'm using a word here called as int. This int is a reserved word which will tell that this noun word is going to be working as a variable to hold the value inside it. So let's quickly get back to the previous slide and get to know, is there any marks available as a keyword? Is there any marks are sorted in ascending order, right? So it's not there. Marks is not there. Is there any int? Yes, it's there. Okay. So whenever you want to create any identifier, you can create that identifier either to name a variable or a function or a array of variables or for a pointer or to define a structure or union and so forth. But lots of things to be done. Okay. So similarly, I'm using a set of, here is the example for array. I want to name for different students. There are 30 different students, let us say. And for all the 30 students, I'm keeping an identifier name called as student name. Remember, I have not kept any space in between them. Identifiers will never contain any space between them. Identifiers will never contain any space between them. Do remember, here S is small, and when the next word name is coming attached to the student, N is becoming capital. Okay, starting with a lowercase, and whenever the next word gets attached to the previous one, we'll make the next word's initial letter as the capital. So here it is in lowercase, here we'll call it as camel case. What case we will call it as? Camel case. It's not in uppercase. Do remember? It's not in uppercase because student is written in lowercase, whereas N is written in capital case. So this special category is called as camel casing. So let's move ahead. There are certain rules in case of our identifiers to be written. The first rule is should contain letters. It's 1:17. Now we'll close off this session. So we'll continue with this session later on. Is there any doubt for anyone in this session?